I bet every one of your listeners has either a daughter or a niece or a granddaughter or a neighborhood girl, someone that they encounter. And, a real gift to that girl is to normalize the idea that she can do science and math and engineering. And there's so many ways you can do that. It's the words you say, it's the encouragement you give, it's the gifts you give, right? Legos and snap circuits aren't just for little boys, right? Little girls can have fun with those things too.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Grow Healthy Help People podcast, a podcast that Accordis puts on. We love talking to our nonprofit leaders and really learning about the ins and the outs of running a nonprofit and what works and what doesn't work and the amazing things they're doing in their community. And today I am here with Laura from High Tech Rising. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Brandy. Thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely. We are so
Yeah.
excited. Yes. So, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Plano, Texas, right outside Dallas.
Yes. So I bet it's really hot right now.
It is really hot right now.
Yes,
You're not kidding.
absolutely. Yes. Well, before we really get into talking about the wonderful things that you guys are doing at High Tech Rising, I am interested to learn what led you to being in the position you are today. What inspired you to start High Tech Rising?
Well, thanks for that question. As a point of clarity, I am not the founder, but I will tell you that story. So first, I should explain what High Tech Rising does.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are all about increasing the representation of women in the STEM workplace. So that's science, technology, engineering, and math. So that is what we're all about. And I came to it pretty naturally, but I have to go back a ways to give you that context. When I was a girl, I just loved math. I loved problem solving. I loved making things. And when I was in high school, I thought I would like to be an engineer. It just seemed like a natural choice for, a girl who liked all the things that I liked. But that was a long time ago. That was, the 1980s. And there was not a common idea in our culture that this was a good choice for a girl. And I ran into a lot of opposition, especially from the boys in my classes. I think maybe they were a little threatened by a girl who was so good at math. And, I had classmates tell me flat out, girls can't do that. Girls shouldn't do that. But I was very fortunate in that my father, whom we lost a few years ago, and I miss him still, but my dad was an electrical engineer, and he encouraged me, and that was what I needed. I have this memory of my dad, and my dad was a very soft-spoken man, a man of very few words. But my first semester as an engineering student, he came to pick me up from college for the Thanksgiving break. And that whole 3-hour car ride home, he never stopped talking about his work. And I was a first semester engineering student. I didn't even understand his vocabulary. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I knew that he was proud of me and he supported me. That was the message that came across. And in a world full of naysayers, I needed my dad's support. And after I graduated college, I asked every female engineer I met, and there weren't that many, I asked them their stories. And it was 10 years during which every female engineer I met told me her dad was an engineer too. And I thought, you know what? This means that there are lots of other girls and young women with the same talents I have who aren't pursuing this path because they don't have a dad in their corner the way I did. And I thought, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. And it wasn't fair. It just wasn't fair because I loved my career. I just retired this year after 40 years as an electrical engineer, working in product development. I had a great time in my career. I loved the problem solving. I loved the technical challenges. I loved working with other bright people, the other engineers I worked with. I always felt it so deeply, Brandy, that it just wasn't fair that there were so many other women just like me who didn't have that opportunity. So, to me, it's a fairness issue. And so in 2008, I had a job change that brought me here to the Dallas area. And that's when I first heard about High Tech Rising. And I thought, I have got to get in on this. I'd been working as an engineer for some time to that point, but I had never encountered a nonprofit organized around working for educating girls in STEM. I said, I have got to get in on this. So I started volunteering right away in 2008. I joined the board in 2011, and I haven't left. So since 2019, I've been president of the national board. We are a national organization now. We started out in 2001 here in North Texas, but we now have teams also in Southeast Texas, in Silicon Valley, and in Colorado.
Wow, that's incredible. That is incredible. Well, I love that story. I love that this was something that you were passionate about as a child, and now you can look back and see where the gap is and be able to do something about it instead of just instead of just sitting by and watching young girls possibly miss amazing opportunities in their lives. You're taking that action, which I think is amazing. So tell us, what does High Tech Rising do for young girls? What are the programs? What does it look like in each of these chapters?
Right. Um, So, as I say, we do have the four locations. Well, first, I have to give a shout out to all my High Tech Rising colleagues. We are an all volunteer organization. We've been operating for 25 years, fully volunteer, which I think is a real testament to the passion and the commitment of our board members and volunteers. We are composed of, we have both men and women. We are predominantly women, but we love our male colleagues. Um, our board members are generally professional women and men, engineers, accountants, lawyers, finance professionals, marketing professionals who work in corporations that are technology based. A few of us, like myself, I retired this year. A few of us are retired. Most of us have very busy lives. Most of us have very demanding day jobs. A lot of our board members have children at home, very busy lives, right? Um, and the reason they choose to carve time out for High Tech Rising is because they feel the same passion that I do, that there is a problem and we all want to give back by making things better for the younger people that are coming up behind us, right? Our board members go to work every day, and you see it in the conference rooms, you see it in the hallways at work, right? Women are underrepresented in tech jobs, right? Um, and it really matters, Brandy. And let me tell you a bit about why it matters. And I meet people who think, but things have changed, things have got better. Isn't this problem behind us? Isn't it solved? And it's really not. So what I'd like to do, Brandy, is just give you a few little numbers here. So women represent about 1/3 of the technology workforce in this country. Okay, so science, technology, engineering, and math, all of those, about a third. If you look at computer science, women represent about 20%. If you look at engineering, women are about 16% of the workforce. And this matters for several reasons. Um, the average salary in STEM jobs is over $100,000. The average salary outside of STEM jobs is less than half of that. It's $50,000. So when women don't participate in the STEM workforce, they miss out on high paying jobs. And 1/3 of households that are headed by women living with children, 1/3 of those households is living in poverty. So when women have access to well-paying jobs, it helps their children too. It helps the next generation, right? And another point I'd like to, leave with you and your listeners is our country every year has a couple 100,000 jobs in the tech workforce that go unfilled by Americans. And so, we bring in, people on H-1B visas, which I worked with many people on H-1B visas. They're great people. But the point I want to make, things happen, you know, we don't know how many H-1B visas there will be in the future. The point really is that we aren't graduating enough citizens to fill all those jobs. And we probably won't be able to fill all those jobs unless we tap into this population of women, right? So it's a workforce development issue. It's an economic development issue for our country, right? So that's why it matters, and it's because our board members see this every day
Yeah.
that we're trying to address it. So the question you asked me was about the work that we do.
Yeah.
And we have two different models that I need to explain to answer your
Okay.
question. So our local teams are chapters in North Texas and Southeast Texas and Silicon Valley and Colorado. They they raise money locally and distribute the money to nonprofit partners who deliver the programs.
Oh,
And
awesome.
because we are all volunteer,
Yeah.
that's a model that we've used for the last 25 years,
Yes.
um, and it's an effective model. Two of the programs we've been funding for all that time are a teacher training program to teach middle school and high school teachers
Mm.
how to use micro messages in the classroom to make the classroom welcoming to all students.
Yeah.
Um, Here's an example of what the teachers learn. Um, One of the things the teachers experience is we tell them we're going to videotape a class that they teach, and they'll be evaluated as teachers by how many times they call on boys and how many times they call on girls in a science classroom, say physics. And so the teachers know in advance what the evaluation metric is, right? You know that we find they call on boys twice as often as they call on girls, even knowing that's the metric. And the other thing that happens, Brandy, is they call on a girl. They'll say, Brandy, here's a question for Brandy. Brandy answers it. They say, thank you very much, and they move on. They move on to a boy, and they say, Joe, here's a question for you. Joe answers. And they say, well, now that's interesting, Joe. Tell me more about that. And the message is that the boys belong in that classroom in a way that the girls don't belong. And with that training and that experience, teachers adapt. And when the girls feel included and welcome, their test scores go up. And what we see is that without the training, the boys outscored the girls on the physics AP exam by a ratio of 2 to 1. But after the training, the girls achieved parity with the boys. So it's powerful. And another program we fund is a 2 week long physics day camp for high school girls before they take their first high school physics class. And what the girls tell us is they thought physics was hard, but what they found out with that camp is they're smart enough to do physics. And we have some longitudinal data that's really powerful that tells us that for the girls who've been through that physics camp, they're 2.5 times more likely than their peers to graduate from college with a STEM degree, and they're 4.9 times more likely than their peers to graduate with an engineering degree. And this is data we have from Dallas Independent School District. So it's powerful data. So the programs are effective, which is super exciting. So that's one that's one model that I told you about. We have a newer model now. We have an initiative, a program of our own that we deliver. Our second model is a new initiative. We have our own program that we're delivering ourselves, and we are still an all volunteer organization. It took us a while to find a model of a program that we could deliver successfully with the volunteer team that we have. But we found one, and it's called OSNAP. And we use OSNAP to teach circuits to 4th through 6th graders. And we've been doing this for 2 years now, and it's growing. This summer, we're piloting a new version of the program at a Boys and Girls Club in Oak Cliff here in Dallas. And what we're doing that's new and special this summer, we've developed a complete curriculum of 16 lesson plans, and we have trained teenagers at the Boys and Girls Club to deliver the program to the 4th through 6th graders. And what's really powerful about this model is the younger students see people who look just like them, but they're only a few years older. So these teenagers, are explaining the way the circuits work to them and showing them, that you can do it too. It's really powerful to have those role models. We talked a little bit earlier about how there are still today, what do I want to say, cultural forces, if you will. Girls and women don't always feel comfortable or included, right? There's still this perception that that's for the boys or that's for men. So when you see someone who looks like you, and these are teenage girls that are the near peer mentors, it's just powerful. They're role models, and we hope that they are inspiring the younger students.
That's incredible. I love that so much. And the first model you were talking about, one thing that I really love is that you're targeting the girls, but you're starting with the source. So you're going to the teachers and really inspiring them to change how they're doing things so
Yeah.
that that trickles down in for these girls so that they can really learn and have more, really just more leadership and guidance, getting them to where they want to be and inspiring them to do these things that they might not have thought they could do, which is amazing.
Yes. Yes. You're so right. You said that so well. Role models matter.
Yeah.
And there's that line you may have heard, you need to see it to be it, right?
Yes.
People need to see people who look like them,
Yeah.
right? And when the adults around you, whether it's parents or teachers, when adults say you can do this or you can't
Mm,
do it, children very often live up to those expectations, don't
right.
they? You know,
Yes.
it really matters. It's really impactful.
Yes, absolutely. So, do you face any? Is this something that you go into these schools and you're not getting pushback, they're welcoming it, or are you facing challenges in high tech rising, whether it be getting the programs in schools or in organizations, or funding, or just whatever it may be? What are your biggest challenges doing this?
Yeah, we find that people really welcome this program. In fact, we have a waiting list. We've got quite a significant waiting list, just waiting for the funding to come so we can deliver the program. Because what we do is we provide the kits, the Snap Circuits kits. We provide them free of cost to the school or to the Boys and Girls Club. Um, and we give them the curriculum and all the materials. It's all provided free. So as you can imagine, there's a great appetite for this today, especially in these days of government budget tightening. Right? Yes. So finding children to work with, finding schools and after school programs to work with, that has not been our biggest challenge. Um, I will tell you, one of our biggest challenges is also the flip side is it's one of our strengths, and that is our all volunteer model. So it's one of our strengths because um, these people, I've already told you how busy they are. They have such full lives. It's because they care about this issue so deeply, because they see it every day in their professional lives. It's why they're willing to come and make the commitment and spend their time. And that is powerful because it's so grassroots, you know? They see it, they live it every day, they believe it. So the passion that we have, it's really just fun working with such bright, talented, like-minded people. It's a lot of fun, um, and I think it's a compelling story. But the challenge of it is, like I said, they're all very busy people. And so an all volunteer model, it is challenging from a bandwidth perspective, right? Um, I retired after 40 years. Most of that time I, was in leadership roles. And every now and then, I kind of wish for the days when I could just announce a decision and roll it out and, ta-da, there it is. Um, but that's not how an all volunteer organization works, because nobody has to be on our board. They choose every day. They choose every day to be on our board. And so it's a very collaborative culture. Um, and I love a collaborative culture. But every decision has to be, considered. We have to bring people along. We have to socialize all the ideas, because if people don't buy in, they're free to leave at any time, right? And we don't want to lose these wonderful, talented, bright, passionate people. So, um, it's a different pace than what I was used to in my professional career. So yeah, so that's a challenge.
Yeah, I can see that. And if you are watching this and you're a nonprofit leader, there are so many nonprofits that are in the space or not quite to where if they do want paid staff, maybe they can't afford it yet. But either way, almost every nonprofit is looking for volunteers in some shape, form, or fashion. And so, in order to get those volunteers, you need to tell people why you're doing what you're doing. Because if people don't understand the reason behind your mission, it's really hard for them to want to get involved. And
Right,
so, one thing that we can help with at Accordis is really showing people your mission and your vision, whether that be through marketing, through social media. We can help put together strategic campaigns and plans that really share your story. I tell nonprofit leaders all the time, your why matters more than anything. People need to know the why behind what you're doing. And that's what inspires people. And that's what gets people to want to get involved with your organization. So if you're a nonprofit and you have questions or are in a spot where you could use some assistance, please reach out. Our website will be at the end of this episode. So, Laura, how does it look looking forward? What do you guys want to see? Because you've been around for a while now. So, do you guys like the trajectory that you are on? Or are you hoping to see more growth in the future in the next 5, 10 years?
we absolutely have big plans to
Yeah,
grow, Brandy. Um, did I tell you that? I think I did tell you the representation of women in engineering and computer science today. You know, the today's engineering workforce is about 16% women.
right. Yeah,
And it has grown over the years, but we are far from where we want to be. And the needle isn't moving as fast as we would like.
yeah,
So we want to keep working. We want to serve many
yes,
more children. And our vision for 5 years from now, we want to be providing educational services to 25,000 students a year.
yeah,
We're not quite there yet. We have some growth that we need
absolutely.
to achieve it. Absolutely, yes. Um, and to grow like that, one of the things we need is to raise more money. And
Yes,
I think many of your listeners can relate to
yeah,
fundraising challenges. So
absolutely.
we're pivoting towards a new fundraising strategy. Um, until a year or two ago, our fundraising was driven solely by our four chapters, our local teams. And the fundraising strategy relied very heavily on raising money from individual donors uh, through in-person events. And that was super successful in the 2010s. But you know what happened in 2020 and with the pandemic, in-person fundraising didn't attract as many people anymore and hasn't fully recovered. So we're not seeing the fundraising growth that we want from individual donors, and we realized we need a new strategy. And that is where the OSNAP program um, came from. What we what we need is a new fundraising strategy that's less reliant on individual donors, and we are targeting fundraising from corporations, corporate foundations, and other foundations. And and what that group of funders wants to know is what's the value you're adding? What's the outcome you're producing? And our old model, as I described, was, raising money and then granting that money to other groups. That's not the kind of value add that these new funders are looking for. They're looking for something, a different value proposition. So our OSNAP program, we've written the curriculum, we deliver it through the schools and the Boys and Girls Club, directly. We have volunteers in the classroom. We collect the data to show what the impact is on the students. Now that's a value proposition that these foundations and corporations can get behind. And we are having some success. It's really exciting. I told you we have a pilot program this summer, and what we are working towards, we're continuing to develop this program, the curriculum, the model. Um, our vision is to develop this to the point where it doesn't rely on high-tech rising volunteers to be in the classroom delivering the program. We want to get it to the point where a classroom teacher who may not have a lot of um, circuits background is well prepared to deliver it independently. And the vision then is through school districts or through other groups like Boys and Girls Clubs, after school programs, that they will deliver the program in a consistently high quality way. And I think we'll get there in another year or two. And once we have that model, now we're only limited by the fundraising. There are thousands of school districts and after school programs across the country that we can partner with. And so the goal is, of course, to have a positive impact on many more students. We want to show both the girls and the boys that girls can be successful in STEM and make that normal. It should be normal that girls are good at this, right? So some of this is about changing hearts and minds. Some of this is about, hands-on experiences where girls have the self-discovery that this is fun and they're good at it. Some of this is about, role models showing that women can do this. So yes, so that's the vision, to reach many more children in an impactful way, and to grow the revenue, the fundraising, large enough that we can have a paid executive director. Because we believe that having a paid executive director will strengthen the organization, make it sustainable, and a little bit less vulnerable to the challenges of a fully volunteer organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can people what can they do? What are some action steps that people can take right now to help your organization reach those goals and get to where you want to be?
I love that question. So thank you. So I told you that we have locations in 4 areas of the country, but we have board members who live other places. You know, so a lot of this work can be done remotely. So anyone who is interested in supporting us as we work to increase the number of girls who choose STEM, is welcome to join us either as a volunteer or as a board member. And they can find us on the web at hightechrising.org, and they can email us at info@hightechrising.org, .gmail, and we would love to get some inquiries from your audience here. We're just starting our board member recruiting season. We have elections coming up in a couple of months, so it's super timely. We'd love to work with more like-minded people. So that's always an opportunity. Some people say, I really love your work, but I don't have the time to commit. Totally understand that. We gratefully accept financial donations, and you can donate on our website with just a click. You can follow us on LinkedIn, High Tech Rising on LinkedIn. We'd love the likes and the follows. And, there's something else, Brandy, that everyone can do. I bet every one of your listeners has either a daughter or a niece or a granddaughter or a neighborhood girl, someone that they encounter. And, a real gift to that girl is to normalize the idea that she can do science and math and engineering. And there's so many ways you can do that. It's the words you say, it's the encouragement you give, it's the gifts you give, right? Legos and snap circuits aren't just for little boys, right? Little girls can have fun with those things too. Um, so you can evangelize the mission with the girls and young women that you know, because everybody needs some encouragement and support sometimes.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Guys, I encourage you, please go check out their website. We're going to have it listed at the end of the show so that you can easily find it and check them out. And like Laura was saying, if you have a daughter or a granddaughter or a niece or it's just someone that you know who is a girl who you feel might be interested in this, or maybe feel like they're not good enough or smart enough or whatever it may be, encourage them, get them involved, get them things that help spark that creativity in their mind, and just get them excited about STEM, because we need more girls representing the STEM programs and jobs and everything in the world. And as a mom of a daughter myself, I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, and I love the mission. And I'm so excited that we got to learn just about all the great things. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Brandy, thank you so much for the opportunity. And if I may, I have just a
Yes,
closing thought
absolutely.
for your listeners. Um, we at High Tech High Heels dream of a world where every child, every girl, has the opportunity to pursue the career of her choice,
Yes.
limited only by her talent, her aspirations, and her willingness to do the work.
Mm.
That's not the world that we live in today, but it's a world that we're working towards.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk about it, Brandy. So
Amazing.
thank you so much. And to your listeners, please join us, whether that means a financial donation, a donation of time, or evangelizing to the young girls and young women that you know. Please help us work towards that better world.
I love it. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for listening today, and we will see you next time on the podcast.